you?
I'm fine.
You
I'm in
working?
I'm in Northeast Hades. It's hot as you know what.
Yeah, our temperature. Somebody has turned up the thermostat over here as well. Uh, you. The, I think the biggest problem for me is you think I'm gonna try to catch a little breeze or catch a little something because it's early in the morning. It's like smothering. It's so
Yes.
nasty and muggy, and
And
I don't
still.
like it. Yes, like nothing is moving but the bunnies. I swear to God, every time I walk, I see they getting it in around these parts. And I saw a few weeks back, I saw like a little fox, and he just runs across from one area to other area. I'm like, I guess you don't like bunnies because they taking over. Your food is right here in front of you, sir, ma'am,
Exactly.
whatever. But I
But,
guess he like it's too
maybe
many of y'all.
maybe he's vegan.
Maybe, maybe a domesticated vegan fox.
Yeah.
Would you? What is the world coming to? What has God done? What have the humans done?
Yes.
How was your week?
It was okay. It went by pretty quickly.
I know, didn't it? I was like, but I'm exhausted. I'm still recovering from all the activities last week, but I'm here. What Celie say? I'm here. I'm here.
Yes.
All right, all right. Let's get this party started. Well, welcome everybody to the Saturday Morning Tea, where we discuss health information, news, education, certification tips, the crazy weather, vegan foxes, and entrepreneurship. And basically, to keep us back on point, the revenue cycle at large. So as you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. Let us know that you are here. Help us with our engagement. I'm Clarice Warner. I'm the girl with the pearls, the founder and senior education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance and education. Y'all know y'all need to know what's going on in these regulatory streets to do what y'all need to do. I don't know why y'all playing, but that's neither here nor there. Let me get off my soapbox. So let me ask you. Oh, because this week has been a doozy. Let me ask you. Do you know what it takes to be a certified marketable medical coder? Do you? Well, before I introduce my co host, let me share with you information on a free, yes, free 99 email course on the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start and scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder. I thought I was going to bring my hat down, didn't I? So, if you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder, we'll check out the video description for the link. All right, all right. And joining me today is my illustrious co host, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name because they're not like us. The coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I am residing in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been in healthcare for a very long time. In 2014, I transitioned away from the bedside into um, medical coding. And during the pandemic in 2020, I created a company, the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
And how's that going for you?
It's going pretty well.
Yay, yay. All right, all right. Well, let's see who we got in the house today. In the house today. Good morning to Nika. Good morning, Renita. Are on the I'm so jealous of you right now, but our on the our on the scene correspondent, the crafty coder. And the curious one, welcome from Florida. We
From
got two
Florida.
Floridas in the house. All right, Florida's in the
Good
house.
morning.
Yes, good morning and welcome, welcome. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. So, you all know how we do, but in case you don't, before we jump in, let me remind you that you can join in and add to the conversation. So don't be shy. Your opinion matters and is welcomed here. We bring the topics and we like to discuss them with you. We are curious about what your take is on the topics that we bring every Saturday morning with our team. So use the chat. If you have a question, please type Q first, just the letter Q, so we know it is a question for us and we don't miss it amongst the chatter that we do. Yes, yes, yes. All right, all right, all right. So for those who are joining us or watching the replay, today we are talking Loper Bright, healthcare's new regulatory landscape. but first but first but first we're going to dive into our church announcements. Cue up the music. There has to be a better way to do this. Yes. I feel like that old little church walking in the church where everybody in the choir was coming down to the choir stand and had to make sure you're on the right foot. Make sure you're on the right foot. Oh, get it. Yes. Yes. Good morning, Tia. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning, Carolyn. Buenos dias. We're gonna have a whole Spanish version of the show. Quit playing. We're waiting on Mr. Jeffrey. You're gonna be interpreted on the side. Okay. Y'all started early. Okay. I know last week, close to this area, that the spirit just took over Mr. Jesse. I was just giving him this opportunity. If he needed to get it in, get it in. All right, all right. So today's church announcement, I just wanted to, one, remind everybody who may be an AHIMA member that voting for your leadership is open. Make sure that you exercise your right to vote. You are a member, and I believe it's your right and responsibility to vote in those folks that you feel will best serve your interests in these leadership positions. So there are, I think, president-elects, directors, KHIM leadership, KHIM folks. It's all kinds of stuff. But make sure that you vote. I think next week, maybe the last week for voting. So don't forget to exercise your right to vote for those AHIMA members. Next, I had the pleasure to join the 2024 AHIMA Leadership Summit. It was virtual this year, a different virtual take. It had been virtual before, and then they came back in person. And then this year, they used Zoom. I was about to say using StreamYard. Somebody I did something with recently used StreamYard, and I was chuckling. But anyway, using Zoom, they did the summit, and it was different. It was about 90 minutes for 5 days. So it was targeted. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that you knew, okay, here are the things that, and really it was kind of around lunchtime here, Eastern time anyway. So you can, get those 90 minutes in of not only information, but also networking, because they broke us out into breakout rooms, and we discussed a lot of topics. And it was open to your board members. I saw a few of my board members that were there on several days, so it was good to. We didn't actually interact in any of the rooms, but which is good, because if you're around the same people all the time, you can't meet new people, which was good. Met several folks. Met somebody who was actually running for. I think she's running for president-elect, and it was interesting in hearing her story and having a conversation with her. But they talked about, these are the things that I want you to be mindful of. One is that AHIMA is releasing, if it's not already out, the 2024-2027 strategic plan. So they're putting out there all of the things that they are focusing on. Again, they got some cleanup to do. They got a lot of work to do, particularly with their members, and getting them back potentially, and re-engaging those who are still hanging on by the thread. So they got some work to do. But this leadership summit helped us kind of talk through some of our pain points as component associations. We talked about member focus and what that looks like for the members, what folks are seeing, what type of again, pain points are we having. And then from there, we kind of kicked off. And then we also talked about AHIMA strategy and the strategic plan and all of that. From there, we went into, it's all about the members. Again, understanding what members are looking for, what are the challenges for recruitment and retention. Really doing a lot of brain storming activities, and really trying to think through, because everybody has a different makeup in their area, so really thinking through what works best for their particular area. So that was good time, good talk. Then we had the Better Together. So this is where we kind of talk through conflict management. They had a speaker, Daryl Harris, who kind of walked us through, and we had worksheets, and I mean it was very interactive at one point. It was really good for a free 99. It was a great time. Had about all. One of the things that came out of that in his presentation, he talked about guessing creates rumors create insecurity, and insecurity creates stress. So not knowing what is expected, and this is for anybody, pretty much equals stress. And we all know stress kills. Stress is horrible. So it's really up to those in position to have conversations. Tell people what's going on. Tell people what they need to know. Tell people what's expected of them. Don't have folks guessing, well, what am I supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to be doing it? Folks don't know. And then when it comes time to evaluate performance, or evaluate, engagement, or evaluate participation, then, it's like, well, you don't do this and you don't do that. Well, was I supposed to know that I was supposed to do that? Well, nobody told me. So again, it's really, this was again for leaders. So it's really about them to understand, you need to communicate. You got to tell folks. Nobody has a magic, crystal ball, or that magic 8 ball to try to understand or figure out what folks are thinking. So this was really, really a good time had by all. Then we had a volunteer and leader engagement. We had one of our friends of the podcast, Dr. Lisa Campbell, who was one of the speakers there. Always lively, always a good time. And again, it was just talking about how to identify future leaders of your component association, how to get folks engage, how to mentor students that may be, or newer people that's coming into the profession, getting them to understand who we are and what we are all about, all of those things. Onboarding folks into leadership positions, and even having a succession plan. Like what does that look like when you transition off the board and someone else is picking up the steed? So it was a good time. It was a good time. And then on the last day, we had top 10 solutions to financial planning, conference planning, and technology. So we talked about, uh, you know, some folks have, again, as I mentioned, CAs are all over the place and they're different, and some of them have different financial resources that they use. Um, some of them have paid executive staff, uh, and some of them don't. There are several CAs that actually have have put their funds together to pay one person who would be the executive director over multiple CAs. And folks are just looking to see what works best for them in this climate for their members. But talking about how to plan a conference, with the resources that you have. What does that look like? How to generate revenue and resources for your CA and your membership, and using technology to its fullest to help you in this endeavor. I mean, because these positions are volunteer positions, and why not use the technology that we have to help better us? I also want to shout out Tanya Bates, who is a HEMA uh, board member, board of directors member from Ohio. We voted her in. Yay. So she was on the panel as well. So that was pretty much it in a nutshell. It was pretty good. I hope. Oh, one funny moment. One of the very first days, it was a lady, and I could tell she had been around for many, 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 many moons. And she just kept saying CSA. And I said, I swear to God, I'm about to shake a lady. Ma'am, we're not CSAs anymore. And the crazy part was, like, the very first slide in the presentation was, uh, what is a CA? So it was like trying, because I remember I told you all at the town hall meeting, people were talking about CAs, 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 I mean CSA, CSA in the chat. It was like, we're not that anymore. Stop, stop. So it was interesting. But that was the HEMA Leadership Symposium wrap up for you all. Any questions, comments?
No, that's exciting.
It was. So I'm very excited to see what it's gonna look like for the membership going forward. Really, I mean, we really are, at least I know in RCA, is really trying to make sure that we tap into the pulse of the people. We all have our own thoughts as members on what we want to see, and we can bring that in conjunction with what the membership as a whole want to bring. And so I think it's really important that we do tap in, give some expectations even to our members. Hey, we do expect you to tell us. We expect you to talk to us. We expect you to
Right.
communicate so that we can communicate appropriately your voice. We sit at these tables, but I want to bring what you're saying when I sit to the table. So, please talk to us. Let us know. But it was good. It was good. Mr. Jesse, you have any church announcements for the day?
No, not this week.
Not this week. All right. Does any of our audience members have any church announcements? Other than I see the Spanish is. So we're learning today. Our word is Buenos dias. I see it a lot. Maybe we can do a Spanish word of the week. How about that?
Oh, that's good. I like
Every
that.
week we can learn a Spanish word. How are we going to do that? Okay. All right, all right, all right. So, get out of here and get off of here. All right, all right. So, this week, let the tea spilling begin. We're going to talk um, about the Loper Bright healthcare's new regulatory landscape. So, for those who are just joining or watching the replay, get your tea ready. Get your tea ready. Okay. So, um, and I placed the links to these articles in the description. For my tea sippers, I gave you a couple of day grace to take a look at some of those articles if you wanted to. But let's talk about what happened. So, the Loper Bright Enterprises versus Ramundo is a 2024 Supreme Court decision that overturned the long-standing Chevron doctrine. And basically, it means that the Supreme Court decided that courts should no longer automatically defer to federal agencies' interpretations of ambiguous laws. So that's primarily, in a nutshell, what the Chevron deference means. This was a longstanding doctrine where courts would defer to a federal agency's reasonable interpretation. And all of these seem to be subjective, but a reasonable interpretation of an ambiguous statute that the agency is responsible for administering. If the law was unclear, courts would generally accept the agency's interpretation as long as it, again, was reasonable. But that's where problems come in because folks are like, they don't feel some of these interpretations that the federal agencies are putting out here are reasonable. So now judges must use their own judgment to determine the quote single best meaning end quote of a law rather than accepting an agency's interpretation, again, as long as it's reasonable. So, on agencies, this decision significantly reduces the power and flexibility of federal agencies in interpreting and implementing laws. Um, so, for these government agencies, um, I personally think it just means you need to communicate better and say specifically what it is that you mean and mean what you say. But, who am I? I live on it could all be so simple.
Yeah.
It could all be so simple. Um, so it means less authority. So agencies can no longer rely on courts automatically accepting their interpretations of unclear laws. This reduces their ability to make broad policy decisions based on vague statutory language. There will be more scrutiny. Agency actions, including regulations and policy decisions, will face more rigorous examination in the court. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading y'all's notes. I'll come back to y'all. I'm sorry. Yeah, I done pulled a crafty coder real quick. Increased challenges. It's now easier for individuals and businesses to challenge agency rules and decisions in court as judges will review these decisions more independently. They need to have more cautious rulemaking. So agencies may become more conservative in creating new rules or interpreting laws, sticking closer to explicit statutory language to avoid legal challenges. There may be slower policy making, so this whole process of implementing new policies or regulations may become slower and more difficult as agencies anticipate potential legal challenges. Emphasis on expertise. So while the courts won't automatically defer to agencies, they may still consider agencies' specialized knowledge and experience when interpreting the laws. There will be a congressional impact. So there may be some pressure on Congress to write clearer, more detailed laws as agencies will have less flexibility to interpret vague statutes. So it's really a two-way street here. You got the Congress, you got the agency, and then you got the courts who will have to decide and determine what is it that y'all supposed to be doing. So they just again need to be real clear. Potential instability. So long-standing regulations and policies that were based on agency interpretations under Chevron may now be vulnerable to new legal challenges. Different courts might interpret the same law differently, so there may be some varied interpretations, potentially leading to inconsistent application of federal laws across the country, which is going to be a mass disaster and headache. Um, Agencies, we already see this at a state level. So at a federal level, oh my God, agencies will need to focus more on persuading courts that their interpretations are correct rather than just reasonable. So again, Loper Bright shifts power away from executive agencies and towards the courts in determining how laws should be interpreted and applied. And this represents a significant change in how the US government operates and how laws are implemented. Um, Mr. Jesse, I don't know if you want to jump in. You can anytime. Next, I want to kind of talk through. So there are a couple other differences that are at play in conjunction with Chevron, and then talk more about all of this impact on healthcare.
Because I don't really know whether now's the time to jump in, but I just really think because what was interesting is when I was reading the Holland from Holland and Knight, um, and I guess I'll wait till we get to that article before because I don't want
Okay.
to.
Okay. So, okay, let me welcome. Hi, Tiana. Welcome, welcome. And she's from Atlanta.
Yes,
All right. Hi, Atlanta. Yes, we're excited for you. We're excited for you. We'll be talking more about that too. Oh, I see Mr. Jesse then already jumped in. You better do it. um, my partner in I don't want to say crime, but Lord, my partner.
because I
So
told her I told Tiana in the comments because she's sitting for her CPC in a few weeks. I told her if you have any questions, ask because we're very knowledgeable.
that's right. That's
This
right.
is
We
the
can help
best
you out.
place.
This is the best place. Um, so here are the other two deferences. So you have Skidmore deference. And this is it says the information in our research, it says this is a weaker form of deference where courts may consider an agency's interpretation based on its persuasiveness, but are not required to defer to it. So the weight given depends on factors like the agency's expertise and the thoroughness of its analysis. So this is where if they can persuade the court to say this is the appropriate way that we wanted to do it. So it's a little less than Chevron. Chevron was, well, hey, they put it out there. They the ones that are the experts. They know what they're talking about. We're gonna go with what they said. Versus Skidmore is where you kind of have to persuade and let them know, okay, this is what we meant, this is what we wanted, and please take that into consideration when you do your ruling. You also have ours, I hope I'm saying that right, deference. And this doctrine involves courts deferring to an agency's reasonable interpretation of its own ambiguous regulations. So it allowed agencies some flexibility in interpreting their own rules. So if something came back and folks weren't necessarily clear, and hell, if they weren't clear, then this kind of gave them some leeway in saying, okay, well, yeah, don't quite read this way, but this is what we meant. And so this is how we want to proceed and move forward. So you have all of this stuff that happens in the court of law. Lord, bless our heart. So you're probably thinking, well, what the hell does any of this have to do with me? I'm just in health information. I may just be coding. I may just be doing all of the things, but it has a lot to do with you. First of all, let me say that this particular decision has no bearing on cases that have already been decided. Um, so those things that have already been through the courts and been decided, they are what they are. However, if there's some ambiguities or there's some things possibly related to some case law already out there, new litigation can come forth. I'll say it that way. So, impact on healthcare agencies like CMS, the Department of Justice, OIG. Now, we all know that those are the folks that are heavily regulating healthcare entities and organizations. So those are the agencies that we kind of look to find out, hey, are we operating the way we're supposed to operate? We need our coins. We need to make sure we're doing everything we could do to get and keep the coins for the services that we're providing to provide optimal healthcare to our patients. That's the whole cycle of healthcare life. Now, some of the things as a result of, and I mentioned some of them earlier, but over a blanket agency, but specifically to our agencies, there will likely be more legal challenges to existing and new healthcare regulations, as courts will no longer automatically defer to agency interpretations. I, you know how they be telling you during certain season, it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. It's about to be a lawyer's market for real. For real, for real. The lawyers are about to get it on both sides. um, there can be courts will now have to determine again the single best meaning of the statutes, potentially limiting agencies' discretion in areas like Medicare reimbursement, fraud and abuse enforcement, and coverage decisions. All things that play a direct or have a direct impact on our why, on why it is we do what we do as health information professionals, specifically those of us who are in the revenue cycle. Um, Again, more cautious rulemaking. Healthcare agencies may become more conservative in issuing regulations and guidance, sticking closer to explicit statutory language. Longstanding healthcare policies and regulations that relied on Chevron deference may face new legal challenges, creating uncertainty in the industry. There may be increased pressure on Congress to draft more precise healthcare laws, as agencies will have less flexibility to interpret ambiguous statutes. And then while the courts won't automatically defer to agencies, they may still consider agencies' specialized knowledge in healthcare matters when interpreting the laws. And there also may be potential delays in policy implementation. So, new healthcare initiatives may face longer legal battles before taking effect as courts more closely scrutinize agency interpretations. And so, those were the things that I kind of gleaned from the article. I got a whole book here because I went to several webinars as well. Uh, and one of the things that, unfortunately, there are already cases. I guess the ink wasn't even dry, and cases start sprouting up. So there are two federal cases, one in Mississippi, one is in Kansas. These aren't healthcare per se, but they all are following under the Chevron deference overturnment for these are looking at the Department of Education. They're thinking there's going to be more civil enforcement actions and affirmative causes of actions, which allows the ability to challenge rules. So they think more of these are coming up. The one in Texas is an FCC case. It's for a non-compete. So we're going to see probably more of those. And remember, we got organizations wanting to merge, so large healthcare organizations wanting to merge. Um, there's some opportunity to get caught up in some of that with those things. Um, One of the things that they mentioned in this particular um, um, webinar was to make sure you're in compliance. So take a look at your lines, your business lines, and especially those that are in on par with regulatory guidance. So if there's some agency guidance that are impacting the way you move, make sure you have a firm understanding of what those guidances are. And kind of keep note, because as these different cases roll out, something may impact your business line. Something may impact and could ultimately change how you move. So do a risk assessment, know what's in your house, and then assess the risk that you have according to what you're doing. Um, the one thing that one of the attorneys, and this program was based from the perspective of all of these attorneys. Um, the agencies technically really didn't rely on the Chevron alone. So the courts did, but the agencies didn't. And so in most cases, so they were making sure they had enough information and enough uh, lawmaking and rulemaking and regulatory statutes in their rules so that the Department of Justice could defend those rules. So there may be some grays, but according to these attorneys, the lawyers had their or the agencies, specifically the agencies we deal with, had a lot of black and white. um, and so Chevron wasn't really protecting the agency's rules um, per se. They were actually protecting the agency's flexibility. So it was allowing them more flexibility to be able to stick and stay with those particular rules. And then the court saying, yes, we will defer to what the agency said. So really that's what Chevron was doing. But now that Chevron is overturned, and it really just depends on the judge. They may still be like, well, I'm going to in their own way defer to what is I forgot what the term was, safe and what was single best meaning of the statutes from those agencies, and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go with you. Or you can have some attorneys or judges that are like, absolutely not. I feel like y'all overstepping or overreaching or over um, extending, and you really may not even. Oftentimes, the argument is, do you have the authority for those statutes or rules? And if you don't, you can't do that. And they shutting it down. So, in a nutshell, if you hear all of this talk about Chevron and you want to know, well, what does Chevron deference have to do with me? It really is about the agencies, their statutes, and making sure that when someone brings litigation against them, if they feel like this isn't appropriate or isn't clear or what have you, and they bring it to court, that the judge now won't automatically just side with, not that they did before, but won't automatically take the agency's interpretation of those statutes on its merit. The judge has to do the work. They got to work for their little coins now. They got to do the work to say, okay, well, let me see, let me hear from you, and let me make the best decision on what it was that you were trying to do. Okay, Mr. Jesse, I'm done.
I what is interesting, this is all very interesting how it all works, because you just thought that these rules and regulations were cut and dry,
Hmm.
and now we see that not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
And even when they were talking about how previous rulings will still fall under that, I also read that the statute of limitations for an appeal will only start if someone has been done harm.
Correct. If they feel
So
like
I'm
there's, yeah, yeah.
so that I mean that right there. So anybody, that means anybody can challenge at any time, or somebody new who could be hit with a fine, and they'll say, "Oh, well, no, I don't think that's right," and then it brings all of it under scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that popped in my mind was Medicare Advantage,
Mm-hmm.
because these people,
Are
because
out
these
here.
Medicare, yeah, and these Medicare Advantage plans, they do try it, they do, and
But they feel like they above the law. They don't even think they under CMS rules. So make that make sense. So how that's gonna look? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and
and I would
those
throw the well, plus like, I would throw them under the bus. Oh, you not part of us? Well, go on out there. Handle your own case. Handle your own litigation. What?
and because to be honest, like what I think is going to happen is somebody's going to be hit with a fine from CMS and a Medicare Advantage plan, and then they're going to challenge all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just honestly, I know that the government probably wouldn't really like it, but they should just get rid of it. Just go back to old A and B.
For Medicare,
Uh huh.
I don't know if the government wouldn't like it. I don't think. Well, I don't know. The I don't know. Because there are differences. So I don't know. But it's a mess.
Because
It definitely needs some regulatory oversight. It definitely needs, but it needs some accountability. And it needs, I don't know who, there probably needs to be some communication, as we mentioned earlier in this whole conversation, because I don't know why they think they are above the
because
rules.
it sounded good on paper. It's an
Oh,
amazing
it
process,
sounded great, but
but
it's gone crazy.
and the reason why I say they should just get rid of it is because in what world can I give you? Can I pay you to do something? You don't want to do it, and then you want to fight me when I'm the one paying you. So guess what? I just
Fighting
won't pay
tooth
you.
and nail, right? Fighting
Well,
tooth and nail, and
look, it's
then the whole. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And then the whole competition amongst the all of them, like, oh, you over there? Well, guess what? I can give you this. I can give you this. I can give you that. But I'm not gonna pay for your health care. We ain't talking about nothing. We on par with them as far as that denying stuff. But I'll give you some free trinkets if you come on over here so we can get our numbers up. What is
if you need a ride to the gym, we got you.
that? Right.
But just
You
don't.
need a ride to the gym. You need to do some. You need to get to the store. You need to go. What some lady told me uh in her new plan, she was able to buy sneakers. They was giving her vouchers to go get her some
Oh yeah, 'cause,
sneakers and
they got the whole silver sneakers program.
well, no, it's actual
But
shoes.
I'm
She can
saying
get
that's probably all part of it.
I
Look, but
say
yet it's still. But if you trip and fall, they don't want to pay for it.
right. Break a bone if you want
Yeah,
to. They ain't gonna X-ray it to see what's broke. They ain't gonna put it in. They ain't gonna do nothing. They not gonna provide the surgery. They're not gonna do anything. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. And I tripped on the shoes that you gave me. What in the world? Oh, Lord. She said fighting all tooths and nails. Exactly. Exactly. So again, I just wanted you all to, we always talk about, the why of what it is that we do in health information. This is again, I couldn't go on any, especially in compliance. I couldn't go on anything compliance that didn't talk about the impact on healthcare from this Chevron decision. And the crazy part was, so the nitty gritty of the case was, dude. Oh God, dude was at a. I don't want to butcher it. I think he was the owner of like a truck stop or something, and they were imposing. Um, they had to have federal agents monitoring something, and according to the statutes or whatever, he had to pay for the federal agents to monitor whatever. And he was like, absolutely not. Like, how fair is that? And so that's how this all began. And then he won. And so he didn't have to, like, you wanna regulate this and you wanna pay it. Why? Or you want to regulate and monitor this. Why do I need to pay you to do your job? Don't Ain't
that's
somebody else
right.
paying you to do your job? So why do I have to assess a fee for these people to be on my property to regulate what's happening? So yeah, that's what it all came about. But good morning, Molly. Good morning. So it's really, really interesting. So when you see these rules, I know we talked about the ICD-10 CM guidance. The coding rules have come out. New codes have come out. Um, we will be getting they may already be out. I have to double check. They may be already out. The inpatient prospective payment rules, all of that stuff is a direct result of all of this stuff. So the agencies go in and do all of these rulemaking and determine how it is that we need to operate. And as part of that, they determine, like with the inpatient IPPS, they determine the codes that will go forth. They determine what's considered an inpatient only service, so that you know specifically that you cannot do these particular procedures on an outpatient basis. They are only allowed in house. So a lot of the things that we do are coding, are validating, even looking at denials. All of this information comes from CMS's uh, interpretation of the statutes that were given to them, in conjunction with the at the final rule, because they do a proposed rule, and at the proposed rule release, then there's a comment period. There's 60, I think it's a 60-day comment period, where people can comment, and then so they take what they're seeing, they take those comments, and then they determine, how we should move with the final rule. And the final rule will list out like all the comments and their responses and how they're gonna move and da 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 da. All of this stuff impacts how you work, impacts how you code, impacts how you are reimbursed, impacts how you bill if you are a biller. All of this stuff is based on that. So this is some of the behind the scenes why, one, that keeps you marketable if you are in the know, on why you do what you do as a health information professional working in revenue cycle.
Absolutely.
I
mean, it's a lot goes into this. Like,
yes,
so much goes
people
on.
think it's just, oh, well, I got this book and I can look and do. Somebody asked me a question. What did they ask me? On one of my videos, there was a comment about, I'm not sure how to get the codes for my 2023 ICD-9 book. I said, I just read it like a couple of times. Like, am I reading this right? Am I reading this right? Like, ma'am and sir, did they tell you that you have an index that you gotta reference? Did they tell you about the time? I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I didn't even know. I think I just heartened like the comment. And I'll reach back out to him like, hey, maybe there's some. Yes, it was. It was. It was. So I was like, wow, okay. And maybe, they could have been an offshore person, because I do get a lot of comments from some of our offshoring people.
But the crazy thing is, there are ads that do reference knowing ICD-9. Why, I don't know.
There are job descriptions that have ICD-9 in them
I'm
to
like,
this day.
yes.
I'm like, so are y'all actually using ICD-9? Is there something that we all don't know in the world? I mean, I don't know. Let's stay hard.
Exactly.
Let's stay hard. And as I say all the time, if you are sitting for an examination, I know it may not necessarily be cost effective, but you got to find some ways to get the current year book for the test that you are taking. Don't set yourself up for failure by not getting the appropriate books. I always say, if you know somebody in healthcare, and I know books are hard to come by because, some of these organizations don't want to pay the money to get a book or what have you. Hell, go to the library. You can find books at the library. You can find there are ways to get it. Get in these groups, talk to these people, find out if somebody has a book that you can borrow. Get in with your local associations. There may be opportunities there, talking to the members to see if someone has an additional book that you can say, hey, I'm taking a test. I am cash strapped. I can't afford to purchase another book, but I need to get this test done, and I need to see what's new so I am able to maximize the points that I need to pass this exam using the current yearbook.
And another thing, in addition
Oh,
to
she
that,
said Facebook Market have them. All right. Oh, you can rent the books. There's lots of ways out here to get the current book. Do not set yourself up by using an old book. Please don't.
the only thing about renting a book is you can't write it, you can't mark it up. And during an exam, you do need to highlight some stuff. But um, the point about a current book, another thing that people have to be cognizant of when they complete these programs is you have to take your exam in a timely manner.
That's right.
Because if you finish your course right now and you wait until February to take your exam, you're going to have a whole new book.
Yep.
And that exam in 2025 is going to be based off of the book that you have to come out starting October. not the book you have now, and
Yep,
that can cause problems.
that's right. You're absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct. So don't set yourself up coming through the door, sitting down at the table or the computer screen since everything is online now. So just and I guess do they that goes back to the online testing. They haven't added the books yet for them, have they? I don't think they've added. I know there was at least AAPC was moving to include uh the manuals in their testing platform at one point, which was gonna be
Really?
bananas to me. Which is gonna
See,
be
I wouldn't.
bananas.
I wouldn't want
I
that.
wouldn't trust that. I wouldn't want that at all.
Be-
I'm not a fan for the electronic book, but it is what it is. But I wouldn't. Mm-mm.
because that requires
And it could be one of them
knowledge.
AAPC books that. Mm,
Exactly, and it requires knowledge on how to like. I don't. I mean, I do it the old fashioned way. I actually scroll through my PDF when I do use my electronic book. But people who use it every day for work, they do Control F to find
to
stuff.
find
But you have
stuff.
to know how to do that. Like
You
how
have to
you
know
can't.
that.
They make a lot of assumptions when they start when they start if they're going to rely on these electronic manuals, and then
Absolutely.
you can't tab anything, you can't highlight anything. It's just I just don't like it because when I took my CCS-P, like I mean I highlighted and tabbed and notated the heck out of that book. I mean, I had everything bubbled and parent, family codes, all of that.
Yep. 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 And I think the other disservice to having books added to your exam is if you're learning and training not with those same materials. So you done spent all this time that you are learning coding and learning how to do this with a particular manual that that you are accustomed to, and knowing how to navigate. Now that's gonna mess up your time management. That's gonna mess up all of the stuff and shake you probably coming into the exam because now you got to figure out. Oh wait, I'm used to seeing my stuff here. This particular brand of book does XYZ. Like, how's that gonna work? So that's gonna be
Exactly.
real interesting. I mean, except for the CPT or CPT part. That's a standard. So in that case, that's fine. But when they're getting down to your ICD-10 books, nah, that's a mess. That's a mess.
Now, Renita had a question about online testing. I didn't think so. No.
Online testing, do they let you use an ebook for ICD-10 and CPT electronic? Um, she said I'm seasoned,
And Carolyn said
must
no,
have
you can't
paper.
use an
I
ebook yet.
don't
That's
think
what
you
I've heard too.
can. I don't. And that was one of the things why we're trying to figure out because we're old school and we were taught on paper, but think about your new generation. They may have just been taught electronically. So they may not understand, they may not know paper, but prayerfully somebody is teaching them that somebody's taking the time to convert what in the paper world to the electronic world so they have a vast knowledge of what it is they need to know when they are coding using their electronic resource. Um, yeah, no, you can't have any paper. Yeah, you can't have those notepads and stuff. That threw me for a loop because again, if you had um like a paper exam, you could always highlight or mark up or whatever. The days of that, that's gone. That's gone. Yeah. So so while you're learning coding, I think for the educators, here's an opportunity to also put into your curriculums something related to the transition to electronic, not only for work purposes, but also for this exam or other exams, since most of them are electronic now. All right, all right. I know. Y'all know I write everything down. I got notebooks everywhere flowing. I'm a writer.
I
I
mean, but
saw.
when it comes, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But when it comes to an exam, I don't know how you can't write stuff down. I just don't know. I just would not feel at all comfortable walking into an exam with just a blank book. I would be too stressed
Too stressed.
because you don't.
And you have to, like your notes, you have to actually just type the stuff up in their thing. Fail. If it didn't have the opportunity for me to use my pen, my stylus, whatever, to be writing, now I could write it all day that way. But just typing the stuff in, I'd never be done. That'd be horrible.
Because it's
My heart,
the
my heart goes out to you all, and that's why I will always keep my CUs up, because I will never, ever, ever,
exactly.
ever, 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 ever take that exam again. No, ma'am, no, sir.
I mean, just from a time management standpoint, like these exams, you don't have a lot of time per question. You really don't,
You don't. 2 minutes.
and that's why all this highlighting, tabbing, and notating. That's how it became a thing to help you, and it does. Like even something as little as well, not little, but even when you're doing your CPT, when you're looking at the size of a wound, like that helps you. Like if you have it highlighted, you can just go right to the square centimeters and keep it moving.
Don't be stressed, Carolyn. We gonna talk you off the ledge in the meeting after the meeting. It said, what about CRC testing and sequencing 10 diagnosis, no pen, no paper? Woo, child. Mm-mm-mm. Lord. So I mean, and hopefully these organizations who are providing these examinations are taking these comments. No, no, no. Taking these comments, and hopefully y'all giving these comments, y'all telling them, hey, da 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 da. They need feedback. Let them know so they can take all of this information into consideration as they are, because it's new for them too. And in order to, you know, they have an obligation to make sure they are providing a fair testing environment, all of the things. They need to know the stuff. They need to know the stuff. They need the, she said, I'm tipping over.
Absolutely.
Not I'm tipping over. Bless your heart. All right, all right. So let's see, let's see. Let me put on my, this is what I was going to do this weekend and I did not do. Or last weekend and I did not do. I may do it this weekend. I wanted to put another little commercial where I'm not saying this every week. All right. So, did you know, by becoming a patron of ours, you're joining a community of individuals who share a deep appreciation for the intricacies of healthcare revenue cycle, all of the things. So here's what you can expect as a valued patron and a member of the Tea Sippers. Yes, our Patreon, which is the platform that we use for you to become a patron, is as a member of the Tea Sippers. So we're called the Tea Sippers. Exclusive healthcare insights. Gain access to in depth articles, webinars, and resources covering the latest healthcare trends, compliance updates, and revenue cycle best practices. You get early access so you can be the first to receive expert insights and guides, ensuring you stay ahead in the ever evolving healthcare industry. Personalized support. Enjoy direct access to our team of experts for guidance on medical coding, compliance issues, and revenue cycle management. We're here to answer your questions and support your professional growth. Also, join a private community of healthcare professionals where you can network, share experiences, and collaborate on finding solutions to common challenges. So the biggest and best thing is the community connection because these tea sippers over here is something else. Um, so by supporting us on Patreon, you're not only advancing your healthcare knowledge and career, but also contributing to the success of other tea sippers, as well as supporting the host Professional Reimbursement Network LLC, and as a resource that empowers healthcare professionals like you to thrive in their roles. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all of you who are, that was a whole horrible English sentence, but for those of you who are already tea sippers, let me get it out. Thank you for joining us, but also thank you for considering becoming a tea sipper and a patron. Check out the link
That's
in the description of the videos. And your support means the world to us. And we look forward to helping you excel in the world of health information. Again, you can go to patreon.com/Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, or check out the video description link or the video description, and the link is listed there. Okay. Not partner in crime. What'd she say? But partner for success. See, yes, very important, informative platform. I like that. Partner for success. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for that. Now,
all
Kat, how
right,
you say that in
Renita.
Spanish?
I'll report back next week.
I know you will.
I have my class tomorrow. I'll ask.
Okay, look, we gonna have that in the advertisement. So, so thank you all again for joining the Saturday morning tea or checking out the replay. Let me ask, was the tea spilled today? Was the tea spilled today? If you felt the tea was spilled, let me see your teacups. Teacups in the chat. Teacups in the chat. I see y'all. I see y'all. I see them. I see them. If this information was valuable for you, help us share this message with others. Others may need to know this information. Others may be getting ready to sit for their examination. Others may need some encouragement because Lord knows what's happening in these education streets. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, send them to us. We can help them out. So share this message with
Definitely.
others by sharing the video and subscribing to the channel Professional Reimbursement Network. Be sure to follow us for more information on all things health information, compliance, revenue cycle, and medical coding. And as you leave, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. And of course, make sure you check out the Coding Nurse channel on YouTube, where he is also spilling tea and giving you gems on gems on gems. Because as we have been saying as of late, they are not like us. They are not like us. So, Mr. Jesse, do you have any final words for the people today?
No, other than that, once again I enjoyed it this week, and I just always encourage our listeners to get involved. If you have a topic that you want to talk about or something you want to know, put it in the chat, and we'll discuss it.
Yes, ma'am, Tiana. We are here Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or is it Eastern Daylight Savings Time? Whatever it
I
is,
think
on the
it's
East Coast.
daylight now. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
whatever. I
9
get
a.m.
it. Flips. It flips. So at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. But then you can always watch the replay at your convenience because it
Right.
stays out there as well, and be part of the fun shenanigans and learning that we provide.
And
Um,
we do respond to comments in in response to our replays.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. So if you have additional questions or different additional things that you want to mention as you're watching the replays, please use the comment. I'm looking all the time, checking out. I actually get a ping when people make a
Hmm.
comment so that I can go out and assist as I need to. Um, And if I can't, I'm shooting it over to Mr. Jesse. So this has been a great session today. For my tea sippers, I will be sending your Patreon link out in a minute. I'm sorry. I thought I would have time to do it, but I did all the talking today. So I will I'll send it over in a minute. So see you all. So our meeting after the meeting happens at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time for those who are tea sippers. We're gonna do a little more deep dive into what's happening with these examinations first and foremost. So we keep Miss Carolyn on the fence, and so she doesn't stress out and tip over. So if you're interested in that type of information, or talking more about the laws and regulations, then join us as a patron over in our session. So again, thank you for joining, and remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care and have a wonderful, wonderful, safe weekend. Oh, and then when you see the outro, you'll see all of our Patreon members there. So I highlight y'all in the outro. All right. Talk to
There
you
you go. All right.
soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.